Do you know Mountain Adam? Has anybody met Mountain Adam?
You've
met Mountain Adam. You're my guy.
I've done Wyoming Reservoir out.
He's been hyping him up for 5 years.
All right, let's go. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets Podcast.
Let's go.
Live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR.
love Toyota.
Proudly the official vehicle.
I am so happy Toyota's with us.
Somebody in the chat there is it Youngso says, finally, 45 minutes late. Not late. We had a press conference with one David Adelman today, so we had to move the show back to a different time. It's the beauty of the show. We try to be consistent, but there are flexibilities required.
We're also technically early. It's 3:15 now, by the way, is the new time.
Well, 2:15 is our new time.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
So it needs to vote.
Sorry, guys. At least I'm here, right? All right, here we go.
Jam-packed show for you today because today Josh Kroenke introduced David Adelman as the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, and David Adelman spoke at length, 31-minute presser. You can catch the whole thing after this episode up on the DNVR.com, or I'm sorry, DNVR's YouTube channel, and it's worth checking out because he revealed, in my opinion, a lot about how he approaches the team, what he thinks needs to change, what he thinks doesn't, and we're going to have a lot to get into. We'll probably also talk a little bit about the Pacers because I have a Pacers take about last night watching them. I'm telling you, I know there are a lot of people, Nuggets fans, Nuggets get eliminated, the playoffs are over. And I get it. There are some teams you don't like to watch. Oklahoma City. Pacers have me thinking, though, about the Nuggets a lot.
Pacers are fun, man.
They're making me think about the Nuggets a lot, so we'll get to that. I got Brendan Vogt in the building.
Adam's been thinking. Buckle up, everyone. It's going to be a show. I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about. We heard from some decision makers. We've got some basketball to reflect on. I had a very mild take last night on the timeline that was controversial in Toronto. I'm excited to talk Pacers with you guys.
Really? Toronto had a...
Can I give you what I think was maybe one of the most mild takes?
I didn't even see this, so I don't know what we're talking about.
Throw it at me.
I feel like Pascal Siakam, the Pacer.
Oh, this is tough, though. I get it. I already know where it's going.
Is among the most overlooked players in the league.
Yeah.
Oh.
Toronto fans were in such a rush to insist that they are more overlooked, which I thought was some remarkable small market energy.
The Toronto, yeah, well, they're right. I mean, I get it.
I personally think that Pascal Siakam had a higher Q score when he was a Raptor.
I think you're right.
But apparently, the big market of Indiana has that small market Toronto shaking in their boots.
Yeah, it was so funny. They're like, well, they're an American team. So.
I'm like, yeah, they're hardly the Lakers, guys. But I digress. All right.
I love that little anecdote.
Interesting.
Harrison Wins in the building.
My first note on the Adelman presser, suits.
Yes, it was
Adelman
suits.
And Josh Kroenke in suits.
Bro, we've done this job.
We were talking yesterday what is going to be the style choice.
I should have guessed suits, though, to be honest. We've been doing this job. I'm glad you started here because we've been doing this job so long that we really do pick up on every micro detail about it. And I'll tell you, here's my first note today. The setup.
I was going to bring this up also.
The setup today was incredible. The Nuggets have been bad traditionally, in my opinion.
The microphones were still a little sketchy.
There's only so much you can do there. But they, in my opinion, have not been the best at presentation. I do think there's new people in the building, by the way, that are focused on this a little bit more. Like, this is a thing I think they recognized. I was harking back to when Trey Lyles was introduced to the team and they held the flag in front of the window.
The 2017 draft.
2017, it was very awkward. But even a couple years back, or maybe it was just a year ago, when they had the show of unity after the disappointing end against Minnesota, and it just felt small. This one felt big time because they had the whole set. It was decorated, and I know it's a small thing, but I think it's an important one because I do think that KSE as a whole has traits that are old that they're trying to change and some that are maybe still blind to them. Presentation, not one of them. I think they're trying to make a conscious effort to present themselves more first class. Small thing, but noteworthy.
Yeah. So they do this up on the second floor club level.
Yeah.
Not in the typical press conference room, which elevates it, just to start. So they have the backdrop, the mics, and the difference I think you're talking about is the TVs on each side of the
It's a whole set, man.
Stage.
It's a whole stage.
I sent Kel a picture if there's any way he can bring it up. But I noticed that too because even when they've done press conferences up there, it's better than doing them down in the press room, but it's still lacking a little something. The TVs are a nice touch, I will say.
Well, this is also Altitude Studio now, and they do those post gamers there. So it's a whole.
That's right.
It's a whole thing now. But I agree, and I'm glad. Look, I know this is like a really small thing, but it kind of matters to me.
Did I remember in the finals in 2023 when they had the drape over the table and it was all wrinkled? It looked like it had just been in the closet for 6 years. They pulled it out. So it's a small thing, but we care about these things. Another thing we care about that you guys probably care much more about is there were a handful of players there today. Julian Strother, I almost called him Julian Adelman.
Well, you might as well.
Sitting with the Adelman family in the front row of the presser today, which I thought was awesome. Jamal Murray was in attendance, and I just found out Jalen Pickett in attendance.
I can't believe he didn't tell you he was coming.
I mean,
you guys are both there.
I can't believe your radar didn't just kind of set it off.
I think it's great, man. I mean, we know this locker room was definitely pro David Adelman.
Yeah.
We heard that from the key figures of this team really throughout the last couple of years. You know, whenever guys have spoken about Adelman, it's been in a real positive light. And it was good to see Julian there. You know, he's definitely a guy who he's got one of the biggest summers, you know, out of anybody coming up.
Another one.
And Jamal there too. It's good to see both those guys and specifically those guys there.
And Julian Strother told me, he was sitting right in front of me, so I chatted him for a quick second, just asked what his plan was this summer, how long are you in town? And he says, I'm going to be here every weekday and fly home every Friday.
Reverse commute.
I mean, he's literally commuting home to
interesting.
Vegas. So he's going to spend, once again, the entire summer in Denver. And that was a theme. Let's put a pin in it. But that was a theme for David Adelman today of one of the things that he wants to be different. He wants guys in the gym this summer, and he wants to be around them. But if we start to dive into what was said here, I always try to break this down into themes because you take the presser as a whole and say, okay, what is being said? Not just answering questions, but what's the unified message here? Implementation versus innovation is one of them. How much do things have to be refined versus how much do things have to be changed? David Adelman says you can run similar things that we've ran that have been very successful, but our execution has to get better. And he kind of went in on this at length. I actually love this answer. I mean, how it gets played in practice is going to be important, but I've always said basketball, I think analysts, especially like the Twitter analysts, I count myself one of this, people that have really made a name through Twitter or what have you, I think you can over-index on the complexity of the game. It is very complex. But I think this idea of like, oh, they're running this play, teams run the same plays, man. The differences are the execution, the small details. We're having them stand behind the line instead of on it, or a little bit wider, or this or that, or the timing of how things happen are unique to every team. And then, of course, the players that are in each role changes, and that changes how a play is effective. But I love that he was like, for us, it's much more about execution. We have a good system, but we didn't get the most out of it because our execution throughout the year, but even in the playoffs, was not at the level it needs to be.
So Jokic, guys, had a key word he went back to all playoffs long, and it was details. And I think it's this. It's not details. It's not just adjustments. It's, okay, you're supposed to be up at the level. Were you?
Right.
I'll give you an example that I think came up a lot in this playoffs that the players talked about. Screening.
Yeah.
I think a screen is an easy thing to take for granted when drawing up a play. But, like, how solid was your contact? What angle did you take? Right? Like,
the angle is so important.
And
there's a dozen different ways to set the same screen.
And so, you know, like with Jamal, they talked a lot about the importance of screening to help him get open. So it's just one little example of like, okay, you could say, let's do this adjustment, but then also, how did we execute?
So I like that detail because to me, the Nuggets system, it does work. Jokic is so great that you can make it work, but it's always about the proper spacing and timing and everything else. And he even went on to say, like, hey, this isn't a thing that we get to the playoffs, we do a walkthrough, and now we execute it. It's a muscle you have to build throughout the course of the year. We know how to execute our game plan. We get better at it throughout the course of the year, but it's not something that, all right, it's playoff time, guys. We need to be like execute. It's like, no, execution is a habit, and all the details are something that we have not been good at in recent history, but we will be next year.
Yeah. First of all, I thought this was like a great presser from David Adelman. I came away really impressed with his messaging and just his philosophy on and his just approach for this team. But with that, I love it because I think we have a good feel for how this offseason is going to go. And I think there's going to be a lot of continuity. there's going to be a lot of responsibility placed on these guys to get better and improve and come back better players. But there's also going to be a lot placed on the coaching staff to have new, fresh ideas and show that, this isn't the staff of last year, even if there's going to be some holdovers. And it's just stuff like that where I think those details might have been lost the last couple of years. They've had like this offensive system. They've had this defensive system. We've just been running it and running it and running it. And I think emphasizing those types of details, that can be looked at as a new, fresh approach type of thing too.
Which I think is, again, fresh approach is one of the things here. And Josh Kroenke even was, there's an adjacent thought to this that we'll come back to, but he said one thing that I thought was interesting. It's not about reinventing the wheel, but we do need to reinvent ourselves a little bit. Now, some of this came in relation to the style, the roster, all this different stuff. And then he has another part here about the front office that I'll save for a later segment. But I thought that part was interesting. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think the team collectively feels that way. And I don't know if this is the right answer. I've talked about, I'd love to see Michael Porter used a little bit differently, get him moving more. Is there other guys, Peyton Watson, can we get the ball in his hand a little bit more and explore if there's something there that can be cultivated? I took from some of the commentary they had today of that both of those answers might be no. We don't necessarily need those things. Those guys have a role, and it's not that. They just have to get better at executing it. So that's one. I'm not saying I know for certain. They're making stock answers to broad questions, and I'm looking at it from a narrow, specific angle. But it is one thing I walked away questioning was, I do wonder, though, if there is some reinventing the wheel that's required.
Are you talking about the cultural reset quote, or is that different?
So it's the cultural reset quote, but he went into in depth about but this part to me was more about the basketball. The cultural other set was more about the front office. That's why I'm breaking it one quote into two parts.
Yeah, I think Josh, and we've talked about this, the last couple of weeks. I think he kind of sees this pretty clearly, to be honest.
I do too.
I think he looks at it as, we made a decision, we fired Michael Malone and Calvin Booth, and we got back to playing championship level basketball or close to it. I think if you really break it down, that's how he looks at it. And I think thinking of it that way is going to inform a lot of the decisions that are made this summer in terms of the roster. It's part of the reason David Adelman's here. Because he doesn't think they need to reinvent the wheel.
Some are bringing in a whole new system. It's like, we're a different team. It's like, hey, we got a good system. We maybe need tweaks.
They weren't at a maybe championship level, championship basketball, however you want to define that, but they were getting closer to that, it seemed like.
Did you see it the way I did? Not just this quote, but the general messaging of maybe guys don't need new roles. They just need to be better in the ones they have.
I would agree with that. Yes, I would say that's the one quote that could give you hope that runs sort of contrary to that is, and we will actually talk about it, so I don't want to get ahead, but he did talk a bit about how offensively there was not a lot of time to try something new.
Yeah, and defensively they could try new stuff.
So maybe, right, if he gets his full training camp off season, and maybe they're not fundamental changes to the offense in his mind, but just another off-ball screen for this fella here or there.
Yeah. I asked him, because maybe the most important question for me personally was, if the organization is positioning themselves for internal improvement to be a big part of what changes between this year and next year, how much of that is about giving guys the chance to play through mistakes and this or that? And I thought Adelman honestly kind of drew a line in the sand on this one too that I did not expect. He says, there's a happy medium. I have to manage that with our staff so we have a proper balance of guys in the playoffs when the time comes, but was very adamant that guys are going to earn roles or not. And this is not we would really love Julian to be better at this, so we got to play through it. It's like, you're going to earn the minutes you get. And again, I don't know. It's easy to say, and he's speaking almost in generalities, but that's one thing where I'm just so curious, because I do think guys are going to have to play through mistakes next year and grow into certain roles. And he's almost positioning himself to say that's not how it works.
And that's kind of how he approached the playoffs in the end of the season, too. His I'm just going to play the 5 best guys philosophy.
Yeah.
He stuck to that.
Yeah.
For the most part. Now, I think you need to have a different philosophy when it comes to that in the playoffs versus regular season.
You can't develop a guy in game 3 of a playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Hunter Tyson.
You need reps.
Important minutes.
And I think Adelman is smart and knows that too. I think he has a good idea of how to approach the regular season. But at the end of games, yeah, it is probably going to be just the 5 best guys a lot of times. Regular season.
What I wonder, and maybe this is copium, chat, you can tell me.
We're in copium season, brother.
Yeah. What I wonder is there was a fluidity to his idea of like who had earned it. I thought Harrison, like play to play, quarter to quarter, of like,
sure,
he would make a substitution and he'd be like, actually, this isn't working. Like, you go sit down, like you come back in. And, you know, Malone, I think, was much more principled. But to the point you just laid out, is that different across 82? Do you need those principles, or will he implement them versus just kind of managing what was in front of him then? So these are things we don't know until training camp starts, but we can try to infer and read between the lines.
We got to take our first break, but plenty more to get to. We're probably going to have 3 segments talking about David Adelman and what we get out of his presser today, so stay tuned.
Guys, whether you're on the road or at home, somewhere in between, First Bank makes banking easy, convenient, and secure. Did you know I'm a First Bank customer?
I didn't know this.
I've been a First Bank customer since 3rd grade.
Okay.
My first bank account. Yeah.
Really? Your first bank account?
My first bank account. Yeah.
One of my first jobs was at First Bank. I was working in the basement going through microfiche tape of old checks.
Really?
How old are you again?
Wow.
I was like 10.
What? We don't want to get them in trouble for their hiring practice.
Well, summer job. I had to put on a tie.
Which in
as a little
2025,
kid.
as far as we know.
They do dress really good, though.
Immaculate hiring practices.
Their mobile banking app allows you to check balances, pay friends, and manage your money anytime, anywhere. Here's the best part. Open a new First Bank checking account today. You could earn $300. First Bank is all about helping you stay on track. Their tools make it simple to stay in control of your finances without the hassle, no matter where life takes you. First Bank gives you the freedom to bank how and when it works best for you. So if you're ready for better banking and the chance to earn a little extra, go to efirstbank.com/bonus, efirstbank.com/bonus to open your account. Bank how you want, when you want with First Bank. Certain restrictions and requirements apply. Member FDIC.
We've all been to the big box stores. You're looking for some new flooring in your home, or at least I remember my mom doing that, and it was not my favorite drag along with my mom. You know what I mean? And we don't want you to do it as an adult either, wandering endless aisles, trying to haul all these materials back home. Then you got to find a new installer, coordinate it yourself. And maybe you didn't even really think through how it looks in your home with your furniture. With Empire Today, they live and breathe flooring. It's about simplifying the game for you. They have a virtual floor designer, which is amazing for checking out all the options. And they will hook you up with not Empire employees, but a whole separate group of professional installers who will make sure that this happens for you. They are flooring experts, bringing the showroom right to your home. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. You've already made that choice. Why are you waiting? Let's get it in your home. Let's get this ball rolling. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DNVR. You heard that correctly. A $350 discount with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DNVR for full details.
All right, back here, segment 2. Make sure you throw us a like. Make sure you're subscribed. We're always going into the details. I think there's a chance we can get David Adelman on the show this week or next. I think there's a good chance of that, as well as some other special guests. Behave yourselves, Chad. Everybody behave yourselves. Because it would be nice to get a full extended interview with him and really hear his coaching philosophies and you just get to know the guy. It's always nice when you get to know the people that are kind of steering the ship, and for you guys out there to get to know him. So getting into some more things, one thing I like about David Adelman, this is like his true basketball philosophy at heart, in my opinion, is that everything has to happen day at a time. He talked about goals for himself, and it was win the day. Like, we're not going to go in there and try to just do everything at the end or whatever, but every day you have to. Success means establishing a day-by-day sort of workflow. And one of the things he said was, you can't just be excited about having good season and you got to game 7. OKC is coming back. They're going to be there. Minnesota's going to be there. For us to surpass those teams, everyone in that room's got to believe they can get better. And I like this line because, to his point, it's like, yes, they push OKC to 7 games. You could argue they're right there, but he's like, throw it all out. I do believe part of that. But we have to get better because if we're just the same team, we can't expect the ball to bounce different. Everyone else is also getting better.
I was just going to say, in OKC, maybe the number one prime candidate,
Yeah.
right? Of just, do we think that they get worse? Either they come back and their player development is a shining beacon in the league, or they cash in some chips for a superstar. Or they, by the way, have just won this title and they feel very content as well. So, OKC is going to get better. Every year, teams get better. So, I think both things are true for them. Josh actually put it really well today. He goes, from where we were to how the season ended, we feel good about that. But that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, they have to win. Now, that may not be reflected in their hiring practices, and I know that bothers people, and maybe rightfully so. But I do think, I don't think they're going to sit here and go, we made it to Game 7, and that means we can do this. There's more to it than that. So I at least appreciated that acknowledgement.
Here's another one I love. So now we get into what does the team need to change, which I think is the most interesting part here. And he started this one right off the top. The year we won the championship, we got off to a great start. It allowed us to be right for the playoffs. I love that he comes right out and says this year, basically what is implied here is this year we didn't get off to a good start. We were not ready. As a team, as an organization, we were not ready for the start of the year. And we had to sprint from start to finish because of it. But the year we won, if you recall, they got off to an incredible, I think it was 9-1.
Well,
What was it?
it was 7-3,
That's not that good.
10-6.
When was it?
It wasn't that great of a start. I mean, they lost that opener to Utah, if we remember that
is
game.
right.
We were
They did lose
live
that
streaming.
game.
I was going to say, it was really March.
They actually did not get off to a great start.
Yeah.
They
David
had a
Adelman,
3-game
incorrect.
losing streak in early December of that year. They were 8-3 through 11 games, 15-10 through 25 games. It was really they picked it up in January is when they really got in a groove.
Classic Nuggets. And to be honest with you, that was the year where they were able to take their foot off the gas despite the record not being that great. Most years that record doesn't give you the cushion Denver had.
But they
But-
separated early.
He was very right in terms of just how they need to approach the regular season. He said, we need to come into camp in better shape.
Yep.
And that was your question, I think. Are you satisfied with the level of conditioning? And he just said no. Thought that was an interesting
favorite answer of the day,
response.
actually,
And he's right. They need to come into the season not necessarily playing at a 10 out of 10 level, because I think you want to build up to that throughout the regular season, and you want to find yourself and find who are your real guys and rotations and stuff. But you have to come into camp with just a more professional mindset of we're in shape, we're focused, we're locked in. Yeah, there are going to be some ups and downs, but it's just a mindset thing, I think, more than anything.
And I don't, not all this stuff is controllable, but people coming into training camps with pulled hamstrings, how did that happen and why? It's just, you got to get training camp right so you can get week 1 right, so you can get December right.
And
so
this is going to be a
January.
really important training camp.
Yes.
A new coach, probably going to be some new staff.
Guys got to be around, man, especially the older and veteran guys. We'll talk. This comes up again, I think, in these notes, but we all said it, man. Last year, it really felt like they were just seeing each other for the first time.
No, it didn't feel like that. It was the case.
And as we've learned, very much the case. And it just can't be that way. And so it's awesome that Julian Strawther's here. I think the vets need to be here too.
I agree.
It was good to see Jamal Murray there today. Didn't get to talk to him, but
Jamal is one of the guys that seems like is in town over the summers,
Yeah.
more so
Yeah,
than a
but-
lot of the other vets.
He is around.
But at the flip side, he's also the guy we're talking about the most of.
But I don't know if he's always in the gym, though.
Well, that's
I do
exactly,
think he's here.
What do you? So here's the thing. I asked that question in general terms. I think everyone knows it really applies to one guy more than the rest right now. What kind of offseason is Jamal going to have?
Yeah. And I don't mean he's not in a gym. I mean, I don't know that Jamal is
Right.
in the gym. Guys go away, and they should. Honestly, veteran players shouldn't be in the gym all
Can we talk about that quote really quick, or are you saving it?
I have it right here if you want me to read it. He says, no, I think we can come back more ready to start the season. That's going to be a conversation with the whole group. There'll be goals set, expectations, obviously private conversations, but yeah, that'll be the expectation to come back in much better shape.
And then he also had the part where he was talking about we need to be aligned, players and coaches, in terms of what we're working on in the offseason.
Ooh, love that one too.
That too.
Yep. And this is on the players, I think, as much as on the coaching staff. I mean, I've talked a lot about, I do think Adelman, as he assembles his staff, needs to be very thoughtful about his player development people. Is it the same guys? Are there different pieces? Are there additions that need to be made? But I do think that was part of the problem last year, was guys didn't want to be in the gym with the coaching staff.
They want to be in a gym with their guy. And a lot of players want that.
And
that's totally cool.
The more veteran you get, like AG doesn't necessarily need to be in the gym. He knows what he's doing. He's a vet.
Yeah.
He's already through this. But I do think with young guys,
it's the young guys specifically.
what are you working on and being around? And I think Julian Strother being in town and for the second year in a row.
Peyton,
this is a new millionaire, by the way. He's been a millionaire now for a year and a half. And now 2 summers in a row, he's forfeited to be in Denver to work with the coaching staff. So it's like, what do you guys want from me? I'm going to become the player you want. And I think that's really important.
This was the quote here. Your skill set has to get better over the summer, but it has to be aligned with what we're trying to do as a team.
I loved that.
Confidence comes from trust. That trust has to be found throughout the summer.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what do we need from you next year, and how does your work in the summer reflect your understanding of that? Totally, man.
I love that one too. And it reminds me, the Pacers are a game away right now from going to the finals. I think they're going to do it. Pascal Siakam, back a week before training camp began, invited
One
the
of the
entire
most
team.
underrated and overlooked players.
He really is the Aaron Gordon. Like him and Aaron Gordon, Pascal Siakam are like the same, different style, but same beast.
Sure.
But he, a week before training camp, had everybody on the team over to his place for a mini camp. And this is common throughout the league. And we noted this coming into camp. The guys hadn't seen or talked to each other. Nobody had called one of those. It wasn't that vibe. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Pacers are where they are. They made a goal collectively, no coaches themselves, said this is who we are, this is what we're doing. Everybody get on board. Let's hold each other accountable, and let's start this process a week early. And I think those things are just so important.
Do you remember why the Nuggets didn't go anywhere for training camp last year?
No.
I don't either. I was just thinking about it. Because they need to...
Oh, they had a... Didn't they have a...
they went to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, that's why.
They need to go somewhere for training camp this year.
It sucks for us, but it actually is good.
I agree,
We're
Harrison.
going to
I
be
agree.
disappointed, but I think it's important for a team to have something like that.
I hope it's La Jolla again. I like La Jolla. It's a great place.
Someone put in
bad. It's a great place to go.
Someone put in the chat, and I think this was actually more Adelman's point than the record. In the same way we all had this observation last year about training camp, our observations in 2023 or 2 years, whatever. Our observations in 2023 were, man, that was a great training camp.
Yeah.
These guys have all been together. These guys all like each other. They really want to do this together. So I'm with you, Harrison.
Yeah.
The baseball game.
Try the Padres.
Iconic photo.
Here's another part that I think is key. So we need to be more consistent in our identity and approach throughout the year. He said, I thought this year we were up and down. There were long stretches of the season where the team was not working towards the goal. They were just getting through it. And it's like, that's not what winning teams do. They are focused on becoming throughout the course of the year, and everything they do is an act of becoming the team. And then he said, how do you motivate a team? The last 2 years, we've lost Game 7 in the second round. I will remind them of that. If we want to have our ultimate goal, then our professionalism has to be throughout the whole season.
Love it.
I'm going to give a little tip to David Adelman here. I would put up 2 pictures in the locker room of like them losing back-to-back Game 7s. That's a great little piece of imagery right there.
A little motivation. I asked David Adelman about the roster. What is it that the roster lacks from a trait standpoint and a skill set standpoint? He could have taken this so many different direction, guys, but he was quick and he had one thing and one thing only. Like I asked an open-ended question. You can give me 5 things. Athleticism, blah, blah, blah. He had one answer. Consistent shooting.
Yeah.
There's a premium on shot making at the times you need it. It's not just about making shots during the season. I never look at percentages because that's not real.
I love that quote.
I love that quote too because he's right.
We just talked about it with Christian.
With Christian Brown. And I think Christian Brown's a perfect example of, hey, 40%, that's great. Our team's going to guard you. Then it doesn't matter. When you get in those moments, it's about the repetition, the confidence, the kind of shots you worked on.
Yeah. It's right. It's true, man. Like he's exactly right. And it just kind of goes back to like, are we practicing the right things? Are we working on the right things? Because we'll see how much continuity there is. Like, I still think they need to bring in a little new blood here, but there's going to be a lot placed on these guys to improve individually and to improve their shots. You know, like Julian Strother's got to become a better shooter. Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, they all need to get better shooting. and I think they can.
The one thing I will say, I talked last night, and we'll get into this more about the Pacers, but when he was talking about execution, which again I loved because I agree that execution is it, he did frame it in contrast to pace, which I don't love. And he said, we have to become an execution-based team. If that takes away some of our pace numbers or whatever the analytics want to say, that's okay if it wins you a game in May. I'm very mixed on this one as well. Because
it's kind of anti-Pacers playing fast.
They play fast and execute.
Yeah.
Like, you can do both. And he kind of positioned them as an either or. I'm not, again, I'll bet you he could expand on that more thoughtfully. He just gave the soundbite. But it is one that I perked up and I go, I don't know.
But I think, there's maybe a difference between what's the blueprint in the league right now versus what's the best version of yourself as an org. Like, you said it to me off air, what's your true form?
Yeah.
And the league has changed and the conference has changed, so this is a good conversation. When they won in 2023,
very slow
team, right? But God, they would out execute you.
Yep.
And
they just ran the same play against the Lakers 5 straight times and scored 5 straight baskets.
And this year for 82 games, it was actually we're transition demons now. Right. And this is how we score. And we will run a little bit and open it up. But they didn't execute very well in the playoffs. So I see both sides of this one.
All right, let's take another break. On the other side, meritocracy was another big word. We'll talk about what that means for him specifically on the other side.
Bet365, shout out to them. Now an official partner of the Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche. We love Bet365 because that's the app that we bet on.
Made a bunch of money this year.
And are you betting during the playoffs?
No.
Or are you just,
I haven't
you tuned out from the betting since the Nuggets lost?
I have been betting based off hateful agendas.
I've been making a bunch of money betting against the Colorado Rockies.
Oh, there you go. You can do that on Bet365.
There's any value left there? Good Lord.
Thunder are -8.5 tonight.
Maybe they close it out.
Home?
Head to the finals.
Yeah, we'll
celebrate in a group photo. Put towels on the guy's head.
At Bet365 right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. They also have tons of bet boosts, promos, a lot of great stuff on Bet365. Use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more, whatever the moment. Never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody who knows a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
What's that in the sky? Is it a plane? Is it a Superman? No, it's actually a bird. You were right the first time. It's a hawk. It's Red Hawk Roofing.
I would have never confused that.
Denver's best roofers have joined the DNVR team.
I would have known right away.
That took me a second, but I did like that. Hey, we talk about these guys all the time. Let's get candid with it.
Homies.
These are the homies. They're good friends of ours. They're big Nuggets fans. They're big DNVR supporters. They support a lot of watch parties here. They support the community. They are about being here in Denver as opposed to somewhere else. This is a local community service here from Red Hawk Roofing, and of course, they are the best roofers in Denver.
They really helped me. I told you guys I had a leak. They've really helped me kind of navigate it between the insurance company and everything else. It's a nightmare, man. It's nice having a homie.
And now they're your guys because long-lasting relationships matter to them, right? Like they're not trying to cut corners, make an extra penny. Like they want you to tell your friends, this is who you should hire. So first of all, hire them and then also tell your friends. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. Colorado's best estimators and contractors supporting your local team also means supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921. Tell them that DNVR sent you.
I really do love Red Hawk Roofing, man. It is funny because
there's nobody like Red Hawk.
There really is nobody like them. They
Best.
called Vogt their favorite sports writer. I just love that one. A little shout out to you.
Thank you, guys.
And then this is a funny one because I'm going through the roof thing, so we're going back and forth. They're helping me with different things, and I'll get a text from Brad, the owner, and it'll be like, "Hey, man, blah blah, send this report, get me this doc, whatever, blah blah blah." And then the next text will be like, "What do you think about Murray?" And it's like we'll be going back and forth, but I'm like, "This is actually hilarious."
That's great, man.
All in one giant.
And you can do that too with the men on your roof.
Right.
Call Red Hawk Roofing.
Meritocracy and accountability, another theme here. This is one that I think was really, really big to Adelman. I think it was big to Malone. When guys did not show up this summer, Michael Malone made a point of it. I think that Peyton Watson in many ways hurt himself last year by not working out in Denver. And I think he didn't work out in Denver for personal reasons. He was in the middle of this thing and he wanted no part of it. So he goes off and does his own thing. Again, I think that was a mistake. Julian was here. I think it was one of the reasons that was a Malone guy is he was like, that's the guy that came and worked out and was in our building. But Adelman agrees with Malone on this. Trust has to be found throughout the summer. It can't just be, hey, I'll see you in September. We'll see what happens. This is a big summer for us. And then he mentioned both wanting guys to be here, but he also says, I need to get out and go visit players, which I thought was interesting, as if he's going to have a little summer tour going to wherever people are working out.
Malone used to do that a lot.
Yeah.
He did go to Serbia. I mean, I think also a reason guys didn't want to be here over the summer was just like they didn't want to be around Malone.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
They just wanted a little break from him, which I get too, but
Don't want to break from Adelman before long.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
That part
Of
is
course.
also inherent.
But I mean, the emphasis that he's placed on guys being in the gym over the summer, like leading up to the championship, that was just a staple of the Nuggets. There was always guys in the gym, there was always a loud, active gym. I remember people saying, and they've lost that over the last couple of years. So I love Adelman wanting to get back to that.
He also said that the progression through the offseason is part of earning it. So when he talks about guys are going to have to earn it, and here's the thing that I tried to get even clarification on, and I think he was deliberate in his words. Roles are earned in the offseason. Guys are going to earn them then and in camp. Once you get into the season, it's like it's not that you can't break into the rotation, but it's that most of the work is done by that point. And now this is who you are. And you have a chance when you get minutes to change that, improve. But I think it'll be hard for guys to go from not in, like, oh, okay, this guy didn't have a great summer, wasn't around, hasn't improved. We went through camp. Now that's a real steep climb for you to get on the court. So I think this was one of the things he said was summer and training camp. That's where guys can earn being in the circle to get minutes.
And you just mentioned the Strother-Watson juxtaposition. I think it's really relevant here. Last year before the season started, in the playoffs, Watson was really that seventh guy. But all the quotes and conversations are about Julian Strother. Shoot, fellas, do you remember a fake competition for the starting shooting
That's
shooting
right.
guards?
There was a competition. Yeah.
I think the reason why Julian was adjacent to or in all these conversations is because of the young guys. Julian had a great offseason, and Julian was around. And I think in Malone's mind, that went a long way. So,
Totally.
Again, why one of our first notes today, who was around? Julian. I think Julian gets this part of it.
Oh, he's very smart with that.
Has to translate on the court, of course, which is another Adelmanism.
He should ask the question. That would have been the only thing better he could have done.
That would have been incredible. Probably would have gotten the doghouse for that one. But I do agree with you, man. I just think it's important. And man, the NBA is a gross business in a lot of ways. There are a lot of people that were like successful people in the NBA who have weaseled their way into people's ear. And it's not hard to do. If you are a young player and the coach is telling you, hey, I want you to sit down and defend and I need you to work on your corner three, for every coach saying that, there's some guy that says, hey, man, he just wants you to lose money.
Yep.
Come work with me. I'm going to teach you 6-part crossover turnaround.
You could score 15.
And like, oh, dude, you should be doing this. Is guys that get paid are the guys that do
You
this.
should pattern your game after Kevin Durant, not Jalen McDaniels.
Right.
And often the times, the guys who are best at getting into the inner circles of people's ear are the people least equipped to do it. They're just good at talking and doing that. So there are a lot of players that, in my opinion, throughout the NBA, it's not a Nuggets thing, throughout the NBA, a lot of players who do go off into the summer and work on things they will never see on the court because someone told them that's how they get paid. So when he's saying you need to be here and you have to be working on the things we want, it is a big part of this. And he says the guys, to grow into a role, you have to earn a role. So guys who earn a role will play.
Yeah.
I do not think Adelman will be meaningfully different from Malone in the over the course of the year, let's just roll out player X to give them experience. He's going to look at it and say, which guys have earned it? Those are the guys that we will roll out and give opportunity. Everyone else, you're a project for the next summer because this summer's already gone.
Yeah.
Could be Hunter Tyson that finds himself in that spot. It could be even Jalen Pickett, or I'm not saying it is those guys, but I do think he's going to go into the season going, all right, this is the 12 guys of a pull from Trey Alexander or whoever else. Those guys are... They're not really, I don't need to worry about them at all.
And I mean, he also talked about how like the regular season is a journey, it's a marathon, and we need to have a really good plan about how we're going to navigate it. And this goes back to, talking about how they navigated the championship regular season. And they played really well in the first half, and it allowed them to build this cushion and, manage everybody and go into the playoffs healthy. They want to try to replicate that. And a big part of that is, okay, let's have a great summer. All these young guys, let's come back better players. Let's have a 10-man rotation early in the season. Let's get everybody into the mix, throughout these 82 games. And at the end of it, we can really refine and go into the playoffs rested again, because that is the formula that every team is shooting for.
And I want to offer a hope I have too, that some of these comments are not just about the young guys, They're not just about the young guys. Like, really for Murray specifically, right? Like, can you come back better?
Yeah.
Because I bring you up because you are the second best player on this team, if not Aaron Gordon at times. You are the one with the dynamic level that we've seen. Porter's just trying to keep his body together, man. Like, Porter's not going to get better. Can you? Right. And so like that for me was the conditioning thing with that. So, I hope it's to everyone, right? Of like, even the top 5 that they still believe in, it's not go have a summer. It's go have your best summer yet so we can come back and do this thing.
Right.
Anyway.
The last part of this, Josh Kroenke, kind of in his part here, especially about the GM hiring where we're at. Let me say this. I've seen a thing one time, I don't remember what it was, but it was about presidents when they go on foreign policy visits and the level of practicing they make the presidents do, because every minor gesture sends a signal to, like, if you're going to diplomatic thing, how you fold your arms matters. Like, do they look weak? And like, every country has a team of people that are analyzing every detail of your body language. So I say that to say people of power, I read into these things because I know they think about them because they're important. Josh Kroenke was very serious today. More so than we have seen. A little grouchy, I would even say. A little edge to him today. And when he was asked about the GM, he would shut it down very quickly as if that's not what today's about. Or we're not talking about that today. Like,
no update on that.
No update on that. Yeah, real quick shutdowns and a seriousness to him. He wore a suit today, where in previously ones he's worn like, some kind of chambray or something, or like poplin.
Nice little quarter zip.
And today he's in a suit. And I think that was intentional, again, because I think people like this spend time, they think about, I have to present a certain posture. And here's the big thing he postured today. This organization does not need a cultural reset. I think anyone who was in or around that dressing room for the last 6 weeks saw a close group and can attest to that.
Fact.
And Vogt, you have been very big on this. And I kind of love it because I think, and I even talked about them needing a cultural reset, and this is semantics in some way. Malone and Booth, I do think, had poisoned the well collectively for a variety of reasons.
Sure.
I think what Josh did in cutting them out when he did was he wanted to see, did I cut enough of this apple out to salvage the rest of it? And he's walked away from the last 2 months and said, yes.
Right.
The apple's not spoiled, but we did have to cut this edge off of that had spoiled.
There's still an edible apple here.
Yes. Yeah.
That tastes really good.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, that's what I said at the beginning of the show. Like, he was going, in his mind, he was like, if I do this, will it work? Let's see. And I think he came away from it saying, it worked. We still have something here. We still have, the makings of a championship team. We don't need a cultural reset. And if you read between the lines, I think we don't need to make any big trades. We can just hire David Adelman, because he's a great coach, but also because he has a connection with the core guys in this locker room that are the core of what I think is a championship team. And I just think that's how Josh is seeing it right now.
Vogt, you were our guy on the ground. You were around the team for this entire run. So tell us, do you agree?
Yes. That's a different conversation, I think, for everyone. Like, there's still due diligence to do about every potential roster move and trade and
things added and this or that's not about that.
No, and like conceptually, and Mike and Murray, should it all be on the table? I think so, but put that aside for a second. New paragraph. What he's describing is very real. Everything you heard, from the fractures to coming back together, it unfolded. And that was a group that by the end of it, you walked in, and I think the overwhelming, almost palpable sentiment was, we want to keep doing this together. Fellas, the night before Michael Malone was fired, I think the answer might have been very, very different. So this did happen. I'm not going to sit here and tell you as a fan you have to buy it as like that's enough, but that is the perspective, I think. I think you guys had nailed it exactly. That was not a success of a season, but it was a successful decision. And it showed us enough that we think this is salvageable. And that definitely is the attitude.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe it 100%, though.
Really? Interesting.
Well, it's kind of two different questions, because it's like, is this core a championship core? But like the roster isn't a championship roster, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be talked into it. Like, I think the core could be a championship core. Like,
They need to add to the roster. This
do.
is not.
they
This is
definitely
not
need to add to the roster. But like, if they definitely bring back, the same starting five, like, is that definitely what needs to happen? I mean, I don't know. I could go either direction still.
I will say Josh was asked about the fact that he hired a coach before the GM, which
Yeah,
is, I
great
think,
question.
Oftentimes a cardinal sin, and might very well prove to be that in this one. He was asked about it and then followed up and like answered the question. And he was, how much will DA have a say in that? And his answer was also resolute, I thought. He said, DA will come into that process at some point, but input will be relatively minimal. As if David's the coach, the GM's the GM, I am the vice chairman.
Yes.
Vice chairman, correct.
Vice chairman, right?
that-
Got it
that-
right? I don't want to mess this up.
Let me consult.
And Stan Kroenke
yes.
is the owner and governor. And
Yes.
so, like, I think that there was a little bit of a, hey, we will take his input. But at the end of the day, it's not about finding a guy that fits him. We need
Yeah.
two guys that fit us. And we are the constant, the Kroenkes and what we've built. And it was very resolute.
People have like taken the fact that they hired a coach before a GM as like a message of and a signal of like, this is effed.
It could be, though. I will say that there are problems that can arise.
Definitely.
They
If
seem
you're
to-
hiring a coach that has like a very specific style and a very
Yeah.
specific way he views things, David Adelman is very flexible, I think.
Yeah.
He's very flexible to the style he can play. He's very open to ideas and stuff. Like, he's not a narrow-minded. He's not Mike D'Antoni.
Right.
If you don't want to hire Mike D'Antoni before you hire a GM, because Mike D'Antoni plays a certain way, plays a certain style. You need certain types of players to fit his offensive identity and stuff. David Adelman is not like that at all. He's very flexible, and I just think thinking you have to hire a GM before a coach. That's only in situations where that coach isn't willing to work with the GM at all and kind of change things up. I don't think Adelman is under that category at all. He's just a good coach.
All right, I want to hear your side on this, but we'll do it on the other side, our last break before we come back.
Guys, shout out to UC Health. And if you didn't know, they're putting on their Healthy Swings event Thursday, June 5th. It's the 7th annual UC Health Healthy Swings Charity Home Run Derby. It's going to be really cool. Broncos players like Cortland Sutton, Alex Singleton, and Marvin Mims will be there. Our Benny Fowler will be there as well. And UC Health, of course, has donated over $900,000 to local charities over 6 iterations, supporting Coloradans with food insecurity, cancer screenings, and veterans' mental health challenges. This year's beneficiary is Freedom Service Dogs. Freedom Service Dogs provides service dogs to individuals with limited mobility, young adults with autism, veterans, and first responders with disabilities like PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and more. So shout out to UC Health. DNVR Nuggets is brought to you by UC Health, the official healthcare partner of the Denver Nuggets. Go to uchealth.org for more info. UC Health, live extraordinary.
Fellas, when I think about my monthly spending, I think about how I have yet to draw a budget and how very detrimental that is to the way I move through this world. Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. And even just on the most general level, doing something to help you see your spending and your finances in front of you on a dashboard even. It can go a long way towards helping you draw that budget, sort of reframe your thinking about your spending month to month. You can start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch makes managing money simple, even for busy lives. With all your accounts, credit cards, investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. So get control of overall finances with Monarch, with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off of your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR.
All right, we are back here. Final segment. I want to get your thought, though, on this last part about, the hiring the GM first, the idea that Josh is, hey, he'll have input, but it'll be very minimal.
It kind of all this conversation, I mean, I don't love the order of operations, to be clear. Like, I don't think it's the one we called for on the other end of this hiring process, and they did hire the coach first. To me, all of this leads me back to one takeaway, which is just that I think Josh would really like this organizational vision and alignment to just be his vision.
I agree.
And alignment underneath Josh Kroenke. And so while I think David Adelman was like also everything he's pitching about the players buying in is like a strong pitch point. Like that has legs. You know, Wind also said he's a guy who's maybe more flexible. Yeah, he's also a guy who has like less cachet to just kind of say no to stuff, which is I think a part of what you meant. And part of me wonders how much Josh likes it that way and if that will be reflected in this GM hire as well. And so you go, well, don't worry about the alignment thing because it's these two guys work for me. I know what it is. Just to be frank, I mean, Josh wants to be involved, man. Like, and so just how involved does Josh want to be? To me, is like one of the questions of the next few months.
Here's what I think, because I've thought about this a lot, and I happen to agree with you. I think part of when I say he was serious today in a suit presenting all this stuff, I'm just trying to read Josh and what he's signaling, you know, through all of these things. And here's what I think he's actually signaling. The Kroenkes believe that they have a formula that fits their personal goals and the success of their franchises. And the personal goals do involve, in my opinion, a little bit of cheapness in areas that are limiting. I don't think they spend a lot on things like GM. They'll spend on rosters, they'll do this stuff. But things like GM, I think that they view that as a bit part in a broader thing for whatever reason. And I think that they believe in this organizational sort of identity and structure and vision that they have a bunch of teams and they try to attack every single team in the same way. And one thing I wonder, after they win the championship in 2023, I think Stan's head got really big. He's coming off of a Rams, Avs, Nuggets title. And even more emboldened, and we've cracked the code that works for us. It doesn't mean we're going to win every time, but this is how we run our business. I think Michael Malone's head got really big. I think he looked at that and said, I'm a championship coach. I got us here. I'm the one that cultivated this from day one. And I think Calvin Booth's head got very big. And it was like, well, I brought the finishing touches and I have a vision. Those three, it was not aligned, but all of them, I think, thought that they had the right vision. I think the Kroenkes are signaling in a lot of what they're doing and even how they're hiring of, we set the culture. We set everything that is happening here. This is our role. I don't know that he wants to be involved in decision on who you hire or what players or how you play or any of that kind of stuff. That's too granular.
Yeah.
But I do think that he has we know what makes a successful organization. Whether they're right or wrong, TBD. I will say, I was thinking about this today. The Rams win a Super Bowl. Was it 2020, I think, or 2021? I don't remember. And then they've been close every year after, including this last year where they lost to the Eagles, the best team, and they were the only team that challenged them in the playoffs. Then you go to the Avs, win in 21. They've been close every year. It's been the same, and then they lose.
Are you noticing a pattern here?
And then I see the Nuggets, and I go, they win in 23, and now they lose in Game 7s twice. It's close. And it's like, they clearly have unlocked a certain code about how to run an organization, but at the same time, do they leave things on the table that maybe leaves them like, hey, we're good enough to win?
Then just short.
We're good enough to win, and hey, maybe
you
we will
keep
a time or two.
A little bit, you know.
Can we do more to make it better? Probably, but we know what it takes to be this or that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something I think about. Lastly, before we end the show today, I want to talk about the Pacers because
can we talk about really quick, one more thing from Josh. He was asked kind of about like the championship core and if this roster right now is talented enough to win a championship. He said, I think the answer, as Jokic said after the playoffs ended, was obviously no. We need to take a hard look at how we can raise our ceiling going forward, whether that's internally or externally. So right there, he's putting out, we do need to, make a little bit of a change at least.
I think,
then he hedged it by saying internally or externally.
I think the externally actually today was because I thought he almost had the emphasis on internally last week in his press conference and probably saw the feedback from that. And today he put the emphasis on externally or just made sure to include it of like, I'm not saying just internally, guys. I'm saying that's part of the equation.
If Josh is listening, I know the roster is constructed in a way where there's probably not a lot of great moves out there. You need to bring in a little new blood.
No question.
You need to bring in one or two new veteran bench players to just mix up the vibe a little bit. I know where the situation the roster is
100%.
in. There's going to be a lot of continuity. There needs to be a little bit of fresh blood here.
It's fine to count on Peyton,
Yep.
Julian, Jalen, Deron Holmes, it's fine. But you have to also have other guys.
Yeah.
It can't be all on them. They can be a pillar, but they can't be the pillar of your success next year. So good point of bringing that up. Let's talk about the Pacers really quickly because we only have a second. I love watching them. I might enjoy watching them as much as I did enjoy the Nuggets for a majority of this year. Obviously, I like the Nuggets. I watch them more passionately. But, man, what I love about the Pacers is twofold. They achieved what the Nuggets did when they won the championship in 2023, which is fully actualizing their identity. It's not the same identity as what Denver did. The Pacers are who they're supposed to be. Every player does the job that they are supposed to do to feed into a larger unified goal. They're not doing, nobody is outside the lines. They all play the way they are supposed to fit their identity. And it's why they're so good. Their roster is very good, but they're better than their roster because they have an identity they cultivated, they have a target they've aimed at, and everybody is driven at accomplishing it. And this is why I love basketball. Because I know a lot of people will be like, let's go get Kevin Durant or do this. I probably would make things easier. But basketball is more about guys figuring out and getting on the same wavelength. And when you find that, it's beautiful. And the Pacers are beating the heck out of guys with bigger rosters, better names, this or that. And they're smacking them because they have that.
I think there are 3 champions in a row that, for whatever they already had in place on the roster, became greater than the sum of their parts.
I agree.
Over the course of the season. And Denver needs to somehow, if they're running it back, they got to get back to that.
Celtics might have just had good parts, man. They had a lot of good players. They have an expensive
Yeah, they didn't win the year before the year after, though, did they?
They didn't, so
I'm just throwing that
there
out
you go.
there.
And then the other thing I was going to say, and people are going to hate me for it because I keep bringing it up, I don't disagree with you, Wind, about the need to get vets. I am not one of these guys that thinks, just run it back with the young guys, play the youngest player. I just think it's part of the equation.
Yeah.
But Ben Shepherd has 1 year of experience. He's playing about 12 minutes a game. Andrew Nembhard has 2 years of experience. By the way, was a 26th pick. Get out of here with this. They're all just lottery pick guys. Those two aren't.
Wait, Andrew Nembhard was what pick?
20-something, 20. Let me see here.
Remember when he was
31st?
the-
31st.
Remember when he was the
31st.
smoke screen
What-
here in
what
Denver?
draft?
Oh,
was
get out
that?
of here. Get out of here with your negativity. Christian Brown's good.
Sorry, I'm
Benedict
being
Mathurin
negative.
is a second-year player. Aaron Neesmith, a fourth-year player. Halliburton's obviously a star, fourth-year player. Obi Toppin, fourth-year player. That's their rotation. The only other guy there is TJ McConnell, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam. So you have 3 guys who are veteran players. Everybody else is Christian Brown's age or younger.
The other interesting thing, man, is like a couple of these guys in their rotations were kind of cast-offs.
100%.
Neesmith was kind of a cast-off in
100%.
Boston.
Even though he was a high-ish pick. I think he was
That's
8th
my
or
favorite
something.
one. Let's talk about that one some more.
TJ McConnell, kind of a cast-off guy.
Obi Toppin?
Obi Toppin, a guy the Knicks just got rid of. Tony,
Yes.
I mean
Tony Bradley. They're just playing him out of necessity.
They went for, Isaiah Jackson, their actual backup center, is hurt, so they've had Thomas Bryant, former Nugget,
Yeah, hilarious.
and Tony Bradley, the 2 kind of journeymen, but some cast-offs, man.
But my point, and then you go through it and go, Ben Shepherd, tons of weaknesses. Andrew Nembhard, we all love him.
Other than his mustache.
Which is perfect. We all love Nembhard. He has weaknesses, man. He's not that great of a shooter. He's not that great of an athlete.
Yeah.
He has weaknesses. Guess what? They play to his strengths, not to his weaknesses. He's not a guy that's standing in the corner. Like he does different things. Obi Toppin, same thing. He has extreme weaknesses. But they have a system where it's like, hey, we know what you guys' strengths are, what your weaknesses are. We're going to try to play to everyone's strengths. How does this machine work so that everyone is in their comfort zone as much as possible and not accentuating weaknesses? So I'm not saying it's all about playing young guys this or that. I'm just saying that this is the new NBA, man. You don't have money to spend. You need guys on minimums and rookies. And in order to get that, you have to say, what is this guy good at? How does that fit into our system? Let's cultivate that through the course of the year.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
I love the Pacers. I just think they're an incredible story.
And stop overlooking Pascal Siakam.
That guy's
Don't
incredible.
do it.
Don't overlook him.
He's so freaking good.
Where did he play before?
Before we get the super chats right here, we have a Die Hard sale going on right now. Want to bring this up, and it's the best way to support us, even though we're in the off season here. Not a lot of money a month. A big discount on the Die Hard sale. You get Brendan Vogt's amazing writing, so many other perks as well. Sign up, become a diehard, thednvr.com. This sale will only be up for a couple days, I think. So if you guys want to support us, this is the best way to do it. We really appreciate it. You also get a free shirt.
All right,
So it's pretty much just like buying a shirt.
let's get to some super chats.
Coop the Real. Hoping to fly in from Montana and propose to my long-term girlfriend at the game this coming season. Hope to share my moment with the people at the bar after.
Oh, that'd
Dude,
be
let
great,
us know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
Yeah,
have a little
after
party.
We can
Yeah,
hope
a
that be
party.
a
If
fun
it's like a
moment
Friday
for
or
you.
Let us
Saturday.
know.
Yeah,
That'd be
I hope
dope.
she doesn't mind surprise attention
We've
from
had a couple
strangers at a bar.
proposals. We've had a couple proposals
we
at the
have?
bar. In
Yeah,
the bar.
in the
So,
bar.
you know,
We'll make it a party. And
I think we're 2
congratulations.
for 2 on those.
this is a place of love.
2 yeses.
Diz with a chat I appreciate. Tenzer, the next GM is a theory the same way gravity is a theory.
That's so true. I think it's Tenzer, guys. But we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Ryan B, they sound very complacent. Yikes.
I do not think that's the case.
They are.
I do think they
I
probably.
think people take it as, oh, it's going to be pretty much the same roster as
Right.
That is complacent.
That's what they mean.
If you guys are watching us, go ahead and on the Fast channel, go over to Overtime on the internet for these super chats.
There's Mr. Exquisite Nugget. Come on, vote. It's hashtag Pacers in 5. P.S. I got my new job. Congratulations,
Congrats,
brother.
man.
Thrilled for you. And listen, it's not going to be the Knicks. So whether it's 5 or not, you got it right. GGX Gang HQ. The reason Dagnall is always chewing gum is because it's all a power play. The head cow is always grazing. If you know, you know.
Man, the head cow. Never
The
had that
head
one.
cow.
Is there a cow hierarchy?
That is incredible.
The head cow.
I'm going to do some Googling on that. No, it's hashtag shut up and take my money. No, Adam, the Avs won in 2022. We need a trifecta of trophies.
What did I say?
I don't remember.
All right.
It's important clarification all the same. Maddox with a lovely note to end on. Thanks for all the coverage, lads. Y'all are the best.
Maddox,
Thank you,
we
Maddox.
appreciate
Thank you so much,
man.
Maddox.
We
Thanks to
appreciate
everyone
you.
for hanging out.
That does it for our show today. We hope you guys really enjoyed it. Go check out the Adelman press conference, though, because you hear our breakdown of it, but maybe you have a different perspective on it. It's really good. It might be one of the last pressers we get. I think we'll get one more presser this year, you guys.
Is it going to be the GM one?
It might be Ben Tenzer's. Maybe it's something else. Maybe Tim
it's
Conley's.
somebody else.
Who knows?
I asked Ben if we're going to hear from him soon. Don't know if he liked the joke, but I let it rip.
Yeah, there you go. Hit the like button on the way out. Hasta mañana.
We all silly like the mayor.